I hope you like the F-bomb as much as I do, because there are a whole bunch of fucks in this episode. And as we continue this first mini-series of the Out of Step podcast that I'm calling The Way Beneath the Work, we continue to bring in coaches, guides, mentors, facilitators that don't walk the square kind of corporate coaching path. I've known Sarai for many years now, and I've been so grateful to walk next to her as she continues to navigate life's path, because I can't tell you how much I have learned by watching this woman walk through some of the experiences in life that would really topple so many other humans. And she has been able to find her way through with such power. Seeing her take all of these things and translate it into something that now she works with other people to support them through their life's journey. That's what this world needs. And that's precisely why I started this podcast, because I want those stories to get out there. Sarai is a nervous system and mental health coach, an international speaker who helps women build real capacity for life. Her work supports those who are burned out and stuck in survival mode, women who've done years of mindset or therapy work, but they still feel frozen or overwhelmed. And this is also the women that look like they're holding it all together while their nervous system is totally maxed out. She is the creator of the HELD method and Capacity Club, and she's known for translating complex nervous system science into grounded, practical tools that women can actually use when life feels overwhelming. Her work blends neuroscience, somatic practices, more importantly, real lived experience, and she helps women feel safe in their bodies so that life becomes more sustainable, it's more spacious, it's more connected. And for those of you who resonate with Sarai, I will have links in the show notes for her podcast, for her HELD nervous system course, links for one-to-one work with her, and of course her Instagram, which is incredibly fun to follow. If vulnerable conversations about abuse, drug use, eating disorders, if they could be a trigger for you, this may not be the episode for you. I personally really honor the vulnerability in the way that Sarai shows up. She holds nothing back. She is an open book, and I just love that about her. So with that being said, as always, this podcast is meant to challenge us. And so I invite all of us to listen with an open mind, an open heart, an open spirit, and see what is here for us. And if there's something that doesn't resonate, doesn't fit our perspective, the invitation is to just leave that there so that we don't get caught, we don't get stuck. And instead, receive the gift of being challenged and being asked to go inward and see what comes up for ourselves. So, on with the show. Let's meet Sarai. All right, my friend Sarai, I'm so happy to be here with you. First question that I'm asking all my guests, and I can't wait to hear this from you. If you are being your highest or truest self, if you're operating from that space, what do you look like? What do you sound like? And what do you feel like?
Well, you're just coming hard right out the gate, huh?
That's what I do.
There's no messing around. All right. When I am operating as my highest self, what do I look like? Banana boats. I look like I don't give a fuck. And what I mean by that is my dress is maybe unusual. I pair things together that maybe don't traditionally go together, and I don't give a fuck because it makes me happy. It makes me feel alive. I look like I have this energy about me that's people want to be around. So no, it's not just my clothes, right? It's like how I carry myself. It's the way that I've styled my hair. It's the way I've chosen to do my makeup or not done my makeup that day. I think the look is, I don't know how to describe it because it's just authentically Sarai. Like how I fucking show up that morning when I'm feeling confident and connected and grounded and like fully fucking in myself. I mean, one day it might be all black and the next day it might be fucking plaid with fucking stripes and polka dots. And you never know with me. But to me, it's not the clothes, right? It's more of the attitude. It's more of the aura and the energy that I'm putting off what I look like. It's definitely a shoulders back situation. Yep. A little puff of the chest. I'm walking tall. I've got a big stride. And there's no doubt, like when I am in my highest self, people see me walking somewhere. They're like, ooh, this bitch is somebody. And you damn right. I am somebody.
Yes. That's a perfect description, Sarai. I love it.
And the next one was, what do you look like? What do you
sound like and feel like?
Sound like and feel like. Okay. When I am fully connected to my highest self, my most confident, authentic self, ooh, what I sound like? I sound like a 5-year-old with a cursing problem, I think. I'm very boisterous. I am, as my 7th grade math teacher said, very loquacious. So I do like to talk. I have a big presence. So I might sound, I kind of vacillate between being pretty revved and like speaking at a higher, quicker pace. And then I kind of pull it back when I realize like, oh, okay, maybe I'm speaking a little too fast, or maybe I really need to like bring it down to like make this point, right? So I feel like I vacillate between those. I'm definitely using a lot of colorful words. As studies show, having a colorful vocabulary is a sign of high emotional intelligence. And my voice, it's interesting because I feel like my voice is very strong when I'm connected to myself. And whether that's loud or whether that's kind of quiet, it has this intensity and this intentionality that is behind it, where I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know exactly where this conversation is going. And so my pace is going to vary, but I definitely have an intensity, a groundedness to my voice when I am connected to myself. And the words that are coming out of my mouth when I'm in that highest self space and really connected, they are more carefully chosen than when I am disconnected to myself. So when I find myself, maybe in that lower self, the filter is not there. The filter kind of takes a back seat. But when I am connected, I'm definitely a little more thoughtful. I give a little more pause, a beat between thoughts, or I give myself the moment to respond instead of react. So I definitely sound authoritative, if you will. But again, with colorful language. Yeah. And how I feel, ooh, man, that's such a great question. Mm-hmm. You know how like you have all these words in your brain and then somebody asks you a question and then they all just take a fucking shit break? That's what just happened. Okay.
It happens all the time.
Okay, cool. Because I feel very powerful yet soft. I feel very masculine yet feminine. I think what I'm trying to get at is I feel very juxtaposition-y, which is incredibly Sarai, right? Like I am super hard and super go-getter energy, and I'm also this sort of soft, kind respite. So I feel like I'm embodying all aspects of myself, all parts of my being, instead of just, from the feminine side, the flow side, or the soft side, or just pushing through with that masculine fire energy. I'm like, ooh, okay. I feel a little weeble wobbly, like in my body, because I am very much vacillating between the two. But in my physical body, again, going back to how I look, it's this strong presence of I'm connected. My shoulders are not slumped forward. They're back. My posture is, I'm standing a little bit taller. I'm speaking with my hands, right? Because I'm very animated. So I feel like that sort of juxtaposition of both sides, and what I'm doing is I'm kind of making clockwork, right? Like I'm going around the whole vacillating field of all the parts of Sarai, and I feel like I'm tapping into all of them, if that made any sense.
Oh, I think it made perfect sense. I think that you actually just gave an incredible few-minute introduction to exactly who Sarai is and what to expect. And like especially that last part, it's one of the things that I think I really appreciate about you in particular, is that we get the whole thing. Right? Like we're not going to just get this little bit or this little bit. Like I feel like every time I talk to you, I get the full range. I do get the very cuddly, loving, soft, but I also get and this is fucking stupid, and let's, and like I love that you are able to, like I really got a picture of the yin and the yang, right? Like in my head as you were talking, and I love that you are willing to travel that whole scope within a single conversation.
Yeah.
And it just feels natural for you to do that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because it took me a while, Andrew, to come to this space where I can complete the circle in, a conversation, because for such a long time I felt like I had to be X or Y or Z or Q or M or whatever, that part was that was assigned to me, whether it was showing up on social media or with my clients or interacting with, the public or, these roles. And I'm like, no, I'm so many different parts, and why am I going to shut off parts of myself to please people or make people comfortable, or, I'm putting myself on the back burner. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like with me, it's a fucking journey. Like some days it's a roller coaster and some days it's a seesaw, but I've really learned that there's nothing fucking wrong with me for having big thoughts and feelings and emotions, and then also having these softer ones that sort of contradict that big space, right? I'm learning, and a big part of what I've learned is, from our work together in the coaching space, is all of those parts are welcome, and they're not good, they're not bad, they just are. And being able to embrace all of those parts has really helped me show up in a different way. And I feel really connected to myself, and I feel really grounded when I allow myself to show up in that way.
Yeah. And I know that you haven't gotten here the easy way.
Oh God, no.
And it's one of the things I really I really was so excited to have you as part of this podcast. And because I really want people to hear the journey that you've been on. Because to your point, I wanted to, I'm getting kind of sick of this word, but to normalize that sometimes the journey to get to this place of full acceptance and to really own all parts, it's going to be fucking gnarly. Yeah. Like, it's not just going to be, hey, I'm just going to go to a little bit of therapy here and there. So where would you want to take us? I'm going to let you kind of take us on the journey. So where would you want to go that you feel like we would kind of need to know to start this conversation?
Well, first and foremost, buckle up, keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times, because we're about to go on a journey. I think, Andrew, what is really coming up for me right now is I want to share some of my journey and things in the past, and sort of setting up the story of how I got to where I am today. Mm-hmm. So we'll start with when I was 14. I was a weird teenager, much like every other teenager, right? And I grew up in a very, very, very religious household. There were certain things we didn't talk about, and all kinds of big parameters, right? So I was sexually assaulted by a friend, quote unquote, on the track team when I was 14. And when it happened, I didn't tell anyone, because I knew that I would get blamed by my parents. And so I didn't tell anybody. And I didn't know what to do with this. I didn't know what to do with these feelings and these thoughts. And so I thought I was the bad person. I thought I was damaged. I thought I fucked up. Like, this is my fault. I asked for it. You know, all those things that people of abuse say in order to justify a situation. So fast forward 2 years, I became a hellion. I had developed an eating disorder. I was angry and lashing out and I would shoot venom every time I would talk. And I didn't know how to handle these things. And so I just started lashing out at everybody. And I thought, well, you know what, if this was taken from me, then I'm just going to be pissed off at the world because I don't understand this, right? And so 2 years in, my parents get sick of my bullshit. I cannot blame them one bit. And they decided to send me to therapy. So 16 years old, I'm going to therapy and I'm like, this is fucking horseshit. Like, I don't have anything to say. I don't want to talk about this. So 6 months into therapy, my therapist says, you know, you really need to tell your parents what happened. And I was like, no, they're not going to understand. I don't want to do this, yada, yada. And my therapist keeps on me. And so I tell my parents, and I was met with exactly what I thought I would be met with, was essentially, this is your fault. So going to therapy, I hated, still angry, still carrying this around. And as I get older, you know, I leave the house, I move, you know, to a new big city, and I'm still carrying all this around. Like, I haven't processed any of this. I haven't really talked about this. And so what I found was I have big feelings and I don't know what to do with them. And so in order for me to not feel these big feelings, I started choosing alcohol. I started choosing things that were very, very bad for me. I developed a full-blown eating disorder. I started drinking at the age of 19. And fast forward into my early 20s when I went to beauty school, that's when my eating disorder really kicked in. I graduated beauty school, ended up opening a salon, had no motherfucking business opening a salon 6 months out of beauty school with my business partner. It was exactly what you think it would be. And at this time, my eating disorder was crazy. My drinking was bananas, but I was in a space where we partied all the time. We had fun. And like, you know, we were the fun salon and we would drink and we would give you beers and wine. And I was partying with my clients and I was the responsible partner. I know that sounds insane when I say it out loud, but I was the responsible business partner. I was paying the bills and doing the social media and the advertising and the marketing and making sure everybody came to work. And my business partner was out partying all the time and you know, doing all kinds of drugs. And I had never done drugs. And at this point, I'm 27. And I thought, I'm so sick of this, living this way. I'm doing everything. It's always on me. There was so much victim and martyrhood in everything I did at that point, right? And so I started partying. I did drugs one night. And from the age of 27 to 31, I managed to destroy my entire fucking life. I started with cocaine. It led to meth, which led to me eventually having to get out of that salon, being forced out. I ended up not paying my bills because I was a meth head. I became homeless at the age of 30 years old. And at this time, I had been in and out of therapy, but I didn't really love it, and nothing was really working. And so at the age of 31, I met my husband, my now husband, who was actually my drug dealer at the time. Good news, we're clean and sober now, friends. But we went through a lot. And when he proposed to me, I was like, we got to do something different. Like, we got to get serious about, you know, life, and we can't be doing this shit. And so he was like, I'll get out of the game. You'll get off drugs. Like, we'll build this life together. And he kept up his end of the bargain, and I did not. And the next couple years I spent lying and vacillating between drugs and alcohol and eating disorder until things got so bad that at 35 years old, I blacked out at the salon I was working at. And I did and said incredibly terrible things. To this day, I still don't know. But what happened was, instead of the salon owner doing what I thought she would do and discarding me like a piece of trash like I was used to, and that was the talk that I had set up in my mind, I told her I had a problem and I couldn't stop drinking. And she said, let's get you help. And that was, I think, the first time in my life that I ever felt like really seen and heard and not discarded. And so I called my husband. We had a big meeting, had a powwow. I went to AA the next day. And in March, I celebrate 10 years clean and sober. So the interim, the space of me getting sober, what I found was I wanted to make a name for myself in the hair industry, right? And so I took all that energy that I had thrown into the addiction of drinking and drugging and not feeling, and I threw it into work. And I became obsessed. I mean, obsessed. Like workaholic, 80 hours, 100 hours a week. I just stacked it on. And I did this for 5, 6, 7 years until I couldn't do it anymore. And I was going to therapy. I had started really peeling back the layers. And my last breakdown, which happened a couple years ago, was really the okay, this is it with my bullshit. I decided to go to treatment for my eating disorder, which was sort of the last, I won't say last piece of the puzzle, but a really big piece of the puzzle that I had not dealt with before. In treatment is when I really started to peel back all of these onion layers. And I discovered that, the anger at my dad and all of these men and myself and my childhood. And I really started to deconstruct the beliefs, the things I thought about myself. And that was really, truly the beginning of, I would say, the healing that I'm continuing to do every single day. And, I really had to take a look at a lot of things in my life and go, is this how I want to continue to live? And, during my hair career, I could not have asked for a more insane, beautiful career. I taught on international stages. I worked with insane brands. I got paid thousands of dollars to fucking do hair on stage. And, I had this beautiful career and I built $1 million a year business, as a fucking hairstylist. And what I found was I was still unhappy. And that's when I knew that there was something deeper, right? That I had transferred addictions. And in order to really begin to heal, I had to pull myself out of the shit that was keeping me stuck. And it was a 2-year pivot out of the hair industry. And everyone was like, you're fucking crazy. Why are you leaving? You're so good. You invented this method. You did this thing and blah, 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 blah. Because I fucking hated it. I had grown to hate it. It felt like a punishment. And what I found was I was growing out of that version of myself that was hustle and grind. And I had to have all of these accolades in order to be loved and accepted. And I was proving to myself and to everyone else who said I was a piece of trash or who treated me that way that I'm not. And it didn't fit the identity that I was growing into. And it wasn't this identity that I was creating. It was me coming back to myself of who the fuck I really am without all the shiny and the bells and the whistles and the accolades and the accomplishments. Who the fuck Sarai Speer is at her core. And what I realized is, yes, I am both, right? I am hustle and grind, and I fucking love that go, go, go fire energy that I still have. And I have the ability to balance it, where I'm like, nope, we need to breathe. We need to turn off our phone. We need to disconnect. We need to go fucking touch grass for a week. But it took me going through so much shit and hardships. And you know me, Andrew, this is the very tip of the iceberg. There's, 8 million hours of talk underneath it. But through all of the things, what I've learned is the lessons that are really fucking shitty and hard and sucky are the lessons that have taught me the most about myself. And I do not believe that, everything happens for a reason. I believe that the things that happen to us, we gather lessons from those. We extract what we need to learn from it in order to grow through it. So the journey that I've been on has really just been about, honestly, stripping the fucking bullshit. I feel like I created this persona that was almost larger than life and very angry. And I didn't really realize it until I look back at my old stuff and I'm like, oh, bitch, take a chill pill like you angry girl. And not to say that I don't get angry now, because I do. I mean, I'm fucking human, right? I'm all of my emotions and parts. But, you know, it's such a journey for us humans to get where we're going. And sometimes it's really fucking dark and bumpy and we're not sure if we're going to make it. And other times it's great and it's beautiful and it kind of feels like we're coasting. And all of those pieces have a place in creating who you are and creating your path, your journey, if you will. And I don't think I'm stubborn. I'm lying. I am stubborn. I have to learn my lesson multiple times, just in case like the first time was a fluke, right? And so sometimes I go back and I repeat those, or I find myself even falling back into those old patterns, but this time they wore a different disguise. And I'm like, oh, you shady bitch. I see you. This is that thing that I still need to continue to work on. So, you know, the path of being a human is weird. It's just very weird, and it encompasses a lot of things. And, you know, I hate the aspect of social media where it shows us these beautiful high moments of life, which they're great, and I love to celebrate people. I fucking love it. But when we don't show all sides of it, then we take that in, we consume that, and then we start to go, oh, well, they have it easier, or look at them, they're doing all these things and I'm not. And when we don't have the full picture, it's easy to get into comparison mode. And I still find myself doing that. And that's when I know, okay, bitch, you've had enough social media time. Like, get off, go touch grass, journal, do some breath work, because that's not the whole story. It's curated to be attractive, right? Because people want to see the wins. They don't want to see the losses because it's too painful or it triggers them. It feels too real to them and they're not ready to hear that or accept that. And so one of the things that I have made sure of on my social media presence is that I do show all of it. I show you the wins. Absolutely. I no longer feel like it's braggadocious when I'm celebrating a win. I'm like, fuck yeah. If that pisses you off, that's okay. That's your shit, not mine. I also am going to show you I'm struggling this week. You know, I haven't taken a shower in 3 fucking days because everything feels heavy and I'm just kind of sitting in my own funk. Like, so along the way, I've learned to share all aspects because all of these aspects have made me who I am.
Yes. All right, everyone, take a nice deep breath in. Because that, like, you just handed us, it feels like a really powerful scene in a movie, right? Where you just kind of like you're holding your breath because it's like, oh my gosh, the next, and it's like, here it comes. And I want us to take that breath because I really want us to digest this. Like, Sarai just handed us this incredible story of so many layers of things that would have, like, truly toppled so many people. And I know that you had many moments where it felt like that had happened. Yeah. But it seems like you always had something that picked you back up at some point in some way. And I fully agree with you that all of these pieces, it's truly what makes us who we are. If you look back now, you know, because I know that you have, you know, really grown so much, even in the past year. You know, I've just seen you just embrace you in a completely different way. So when you look back from this point now, how do you see that past? Like, what do you feel? What do you see when you look back there?
Such a good question. It's almost not quite a disconnection, because I know that is me, but it almost kind of feels like I'm looking at it through like frosted glass, if you will. I know who that girl was who went through all those things, and I know the girl that was angry, I also feel very fucking proud of me continuing to drag my carcass, even if it's like fingertip by fingertip, through all of these spaces, you know, and I have so much compassion for that girl who was so angry and hurt and wounded and felt like she had to play the victim and had to play all of these roles and fit herself into all of these boxes because of whatever reason. And I'm really proud of that girl for continuing to show up in those moments where, you know, I'm getting knocked out by a boy who's beating the crap out of me on a street, left for dead. And yet I still somehow managed the courage to call somebody to have them pick me up instead of giving up. Or I'm sleeping on these park benches, or I'm doing these things that are just sucky. And that the whole journey had to happen in order for me to fully fucking embrace me, Sarai Speer, all parts, all phases, all stages. And I think, you know, I think 5 years ago, I felt sorry for that, Sarai. I felt maybe even a little ashamed of some of the things that I had done or some of the things that had been done to me. And I see now as a 45-year-old woman, like, I am proud of that fucking bitch. Through and through, just incredibly proud of that girl for taking those pieces and all of that broken shit. And it's, my husband and I were watching a movie the other night, and this beautiful piece of pottery was in there, and it was, you know, inlaid with gold, which is Kintsugi. And this happens to be one of my favorite forms of Japanese art. It's broken pottery that's filled in with 24 karat gold, and it just makes that more beautiful. And I feel like I am Kintsugi. I feel like I am this broken ceramic, beautiful work of art that has just been fused together time and time again, and the cracks filled in with that 24 karat gold.
Hmm. What filled the cracks?
Compassion, love, forgiveness, healing, acceptance. None of it from outside. None. It was me, my inner work. You know, me starting to believe that I'm not a piece of shit, because that used to be my self-talk every day, right? Being able to slowly transform that self-talk. All of that gold that I have filled those cracks with comes from my heart and comes from my soul. It comes from my essence of who I am and the work that I do. So the gold is healing, meditation, yoga, self-belief, compassion, empathy, kindness, forgiveness. It is all of the things that I have done, the inner work and the outer work. That's what all that gold is.
Thank you. It's interesting because this is really showing up as a pattern, especially within this series that I'm doing, with really talking about this transition time of, you know, really stepping into more of who we truly are, like a deeper sense of soul purpose. And one of the books that keeps coming up, and I know we've talked about this book, is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, where he talks about that transition from the zone of greatness to the zone of genius. Because I want to step back to the time where you were talking about that, like, there was a time, and those of you that are listening that aren't part of the hair industry, like, Sarai was a superstar, like a mega fucking star in the hair industry. Just so you know, those of you who are listening that are in the hair industry, I know you know that firsthand. So I know that when you did make the decision to step away from hair, I know that there was probably a lot of people like, what are you doing? Like, you're nuts. Because, like, you had all the fame. You were, you know, you could see that you were successful in what you were doing. And I know that you said that it had gotten to a place that you were actually literally hating it. So what was the catalyst there? Like, what was that catalyst to actually step away?
It was me realizing when I got up in the morning, I was dreading my day. I was not dreading my clients because I fucking loved my clients. I dreaded the fact that I was going to have to go do somebody's hair when I wanted to, like, talk about your past and, like, the things that you love. And I wanted to, like, take things bigger, deeper. And it began to suck my soul dry, where I felt I want to help people on a deeper level. And that's something that's always been present for me. Is I've always known I wanted to help people, right? Ever since I was a little bitty kid, I wanted to be a cop and a firefighter and a teacher and all these different things, right? So this, like, call inside of me to do something bigger. I mean, I ignored it for a year, Andrew. I just was like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, we don't talk like it, because for 20 years, all I'd ever known is hair. What am I going to do? Fucking go back to school, get a fucking bachelor's degree? No, thank you. Like, what am I going to do? Go work at Starbucks? Like, what do I want to do with my life? And so there was like this year of inner turmoil where I want to leave. I don't know what I want to do. Actually, I knew what I wanted to do, but I was really scared to say it out loud. And I didn't think I had the qualifications, and people wouldn't take me seriously because I'm just a fucking hairstylist. So it was like this inner turmoil for a year before I finally was like, I don't think it's that I hate hair or the industry. It's I had this chip on my shoulder that I created. It wasn't like the toxicity of the industry or any of that. It was, I did this to myself, that I was working so hard to prove and to gain everybody's acceptance and love in the industry, outside of the industry, that it just became so heavy. And then it became, I don't fucking care. And then I was like, wait, what do I do with this? Because for 30 something years, I've lived my life as like this larger than life personality. And this is what I care about. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I don't kind of care about that shit anymore. And mental health had really come into play, especially since my sobriety. And I started talking more and more and more about that. And the more I talked about that, the more hair felt silly to me. And again, this is not, I'm not demeaning hair by any, but in my world, I knew there was something bigger, and it wasn't fucking hair. And I was scared. So that year, every day I woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And again, I love my clients, but I just found myself so fucking burnt out until I finally was like, I got to leave hair. And that was like the scariest fucking thing. And I'm like, okay, how do we do this? Like, I don't know how we do this. And so I made a plan, and you know, I started pulling back and getting rid of clients, and it was another year before I left. So 2 years of me in this pivot space of like, I want to do something different. I don't know what I'm going to do. And taking that leap, like I'm standing on the edge of fucking greatness, right? Like I'm like, yeah. But I know behind that veil of clouds, there's something that is calling to me that I have to discover. I have to be a part of it. And I don't know how big that jump is. I don't know what it looks like. I just know I have to take that fucking jump, because staying here feels gross. It feels awful in my body, and it's sucking my soul. So I took that fucking leap and I jumped, and it was very scary, and I barely caught the edge. And I clawed my way up, and I'm still hovering and teetering on that edge, you know?
This is something that this is such a clear pattern that I can see. And Gay Hendricks, in that book, The Big Leap, he does talk about some of these things. But there's a couple of things that seem really apparent in this leap towards really following that soul kind of guidance is, one, is scary as fuck. Yeah. Like I haven't talked to a single person that was just like, oh, I just was enlightened and I just gently flowed into the... I've seen that story on Instagram, but I personally have not talked to anyone that's actually the way it happened for them. If you are one of them, please message me so I can have you on the podcast and we can dissect what you did different so the rest of us can stop having these gnarly experiences.
Yes.
But it's scary. It also doesn't have a map to it, which I think is one of the things that makes this leap so terrifying. Is, you know, when we're in that, what Gay Hendricks calls the zone of greatness, which is, hey, I'm doing good. Like, yes, you were hating the hair part, but even as you said, like, I still loved my clients. Like, you probably could have kept doing it and been okay because you loved the clients enough, right? You were financially doing well. And so when the soul starts calling, like, hey, there's something else, very often it's not this clear message of, and this is exactly what it looks like. And so now we're standing on this edge of, hey, I'm actually pretty financially secure. I don't actually completely hate my job, but I'm looking out into the abyss with nothing but open air, and I'm still being called to step into it. Like, I think this is the reality for most people in this space, honestly. And it was interesting because one of my other podcast guests, I specifically asked this question, and it was really great. She actually kind of corrected it for me. Because initially I was like, what gave you the courage to make the shift? And she's like, I don't know that it was courage, actually. And it's something similar to what you said, which is often the catalyst is actually that if I don't do this, the pain is going to get so bad that I don't know that I could take it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I realized if I keep going, can I do hair? Fuck yeah. I could do it with my eyes closed and my hands tied behind my back. I've done it for 20 years. I'm amazing at it. If I keep going, what does that do to my soul? What does it do to the part of me that used to find joy in things, that can't find fucking joy in anything, that can't find things to be grateful for? Like, I think the pain of staying the same in that space was greater than my fear of saying, fuck it, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just know that I can't do this anymore. And so I got to take a chance on myself. And it was scary. Absolutely. I mean, complete transparency. There are still days where I'm like, should I have given up that hair career? Like, I was real financially sound. And some days I'm like, ooh, okay, maybe you should not have that Starbucks today, girl. Like, but I just know that, and I don't think it was courage at all. I mean, maybe looking back in a couple years, I could see it as courage, but I think it was the fear of staying in that space propelled me forward.
Mm-hmm. So after you left, and I know that you said that there was that gray space. It's like, I don't really actually know exactly what this is going to be. And I know that you've gotten much closer to that. And I know that you're still even in that bit of space of like shaping exactly what this looks like. But from the time that you left to the time now where you do feel like you have a little bit more of a clarity, what do you feel like helped to get you to this point?
A lot of things. I know for me, my yoga practice is really important to me. It's one of the things that keeps me centered. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me connected. And it's not even, I don't care about bending into a pretzel or any of that shit. It's what it does is it allows me space to be able to process things. And I'm not just talking about like when I'm on the mat, I'm talking about the aftermath. And what I found is, you know, the coaching work that you and I did together during this space, you really helped me see things from a different perspective, and offering, you know, options and questions, which I'm like, oh, that's fucking deep. I don't want to go there yet. Like, I'm not ready. And then the next time I'm like, oh, I'll dip my toe in. Okay, I'm like kind of ready. But I think it was a combination of me being able to hear my intuition and sit with things, because I have been in the past very go, very reactionary. And I'm like, yes to everything. And being able to slow down and ask myself, like, is this what I want? Am I doing this out of a space of fear, of scarcity? Or am I doing this because, like, genuinely, this is what my soul wants? You know, and I've tried on, even in the last, I left hair in July of, oh my God, has it been 2024? Fuck me, it has been. July of 2024 is when I left. March of 2025 is when I started feeling like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I've got this traction. I started showing up on social differently. I started coaching. I started doing one-on-one. I started doing group programs, and I was just trying things on. I still didn't know. And I'm just arriving into this space, which it's funny that we're doing this podcast, because on Monday I'm actually launching a new community and group that I've sat on for 6 fucking months, because I was like, I need this to be right. Like, I had a beautiful community before, and I also let it suck the soul out of me because I had no boundaries. And so I sat on this thing because I'm like, it keeps coming up. Like, I don't want to act from a space of that scarcity, that fear. I want to act from the space of like my deepest integrity, and I'm creating something that is helpful and necessary, and that I truly want to share with people who want to grow and change. And so, you know, I'm still, I'm at the helm of this big giant boat wheel, right? And I'm constantly adjusting to the right, to the left. And that's what I'm doing even now in this, like in the coaching space, as I'm, you know, coaching one-on-one clients, group coaching, creating this community. I'm online doing nervous system work, like, and in the background, I'm teaching yoga, and I'm facilitating yoga teacher training, which is insane to me. I just graduated 2 years ago, and I've already been asked to help the new teacher. So it's like, I'm taking all of these little modalities that work for me, and I'm finding a way. And you know, you said something a couple years ago that I will never forget. And I don't remember if it was in like a group meeting or one of our one-on-one coaching sessions, but you said, you know, my current view is, and that just fucking stuck with me because it's so beautiful. It allows for exploration and expansion and for you to change your mind, you know. And I thought for sure a year ago, I was like, I'm going to be a one-on-one coach only. I want like 20 clients, and this is all I want to do all day. And then I started doing it, and I was like, I don't know if I love this as much as I thought I would. So pivot. You know, I'm still truly finding myself, my path. I'm still creating, you know, that next step. Like that next step. And I've realized I don't have to have, you know, a 5-year plan, or I don't have to know what my life is going to look like in 10 years, because, you know, when I focus on the present space and where I am, that is what matters. Sorry, Andrew.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that's something that I'm really also hearing through a lot of these discussions with people is actually trusting more in the guidance in the moment versus feeling like we have to do the thing that honestly, like society and especially like the marketing and business gurus all tell us. You have to have this like perfect clarity, your perfect target market. You have to have your 6 month, 12 month, 18-month goals, like stats, and like know where you're headed so that you can walk that direction. And I'm honest, and really honestly, I'm not saying that that's not a path, because it is a path. It's not the path. And I do think when we get to more of this point on the journey, which is more pursuing that zone of genius level, where it's more soul calling, spirit level calling, I don't know that we can have that clarity. Because, again, like, the map isn't written yet. Like, we're writing the map with each footstep.
Yeah.
That's what's creating the path, is the next foot just touching the earth. And so there is an aspect here that I do think has a lot to do with surrendering to being in the moment, being able to flow with these twists and turns that these paths take us on, and trust a bit in the process.
Yeah, and it can be sucky at times.
Fuck yeah, it can. Hell yeah, it can.
There's definitely been some moments, like I said, where I look back and I'm like, you left something so secure, and you know, you had fame and you had all these things, and what the fuck are you doing? And then I'm like, oh, okay. So in my present body, what I realize I'm doing is exactly what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. And it doesn't mean that I have a roadmap. It doesn't mean that I have a plan. I have a fucking blueprint. It means I am trusting myself, my intuition enough to know that I'm going to be supported. I'm going to make mistakes. Of course, I'm going to have flubs. Yes, because that's part of being a human. But I also know that when I am truly following my path and trusting myself and doing the work that it requires to shut the fuck up and sit with my feelings and to dissect, is this anxiety? Is this fear? Is this spirit? Is this my intuition? When I get to those places, those crossroads, I know that I can trust myself, because I can look back at every decision that I've made and go, see, you trusted yourself and you did okay. See, proven again, proven again, proven again. Did it turn out the way I thought, hoped, or wanted? Probably not. But sometimes it's fucking better than I had hoped, planned, or wanted.
So true. The other thing that I see too in this portion of people's journey is a step into a different level of authenticity and honesty too. And again, I think that can be challenging, because I know that I've always wanted to be more authentic. I've always wanted to be more honest, more real. But I think the pushback that I often hear with, you know, oh, we want to be our most authentic self is, well, I don't even know who the hell that is.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, as I've watched you, like, I have seen you step into this embrace of authenticity. So how has that been for you? Like, what do you see has brought you to that place of embracing what feels authentic to you now?
Wow, that's such a good question. You know, I look back at a couple years ago, Sarai, when Sarai was very loud about being authentic and this is just who I am. And again, a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. And I realized at the time I was being as authentic as I could be, because it was very surface level. I had not let myself dive into the deeper realms of who I am. If I lost everything today, what would I do? Who would I be? How would I act? How would I speak? You know, really diving in and doing the inner work, doing the fucking hard shit and sitting with it, not doing anything, but sitting in the yuck, right? So as I peeled back another layer with another journal question or another coaching session, or, you know, being on the mat with my yoga or sitting in meditation for 30 minutes, these are all ways that I started peeling back these onion layers. And I really found that, like, I thought my authentic self was one way. I thought I was loud and boisterous and showy and just like always on. And it turns out like that's part of it. And then there's part that is ready to fight for injustices and to speak up and to use my words. And there's a part of me that is calm and quiet and slightly introverted. So reconciling all of those parts has been the biggest part of my work. I think circling back to the beginning of this is that full circle yin and yang of accepting my authenticity is not this flat line, right? It's not linear. My authenticity is, some days I feel like a pile of shit. right? Like I don't want a human. I just want to sit on the fucking couch and eat fucking bonbons. Okay. Yes, I do eat bonbons. They're fantastic. And some days I want to get up and I want to scream at the world because I'm angry at the injustices. Or some days I want to lead the best yoga class and just be so soft and quiet. So how I dove into this is not like a linear thing. It's just these modalities, these tools that I found that were uncomfortable for me at first. I don't love journaling. I don't love sitting with shit that makes me uncomfortable. You know, I don't love getting up at fucking 5 a.m. to go to a yoga class when I could just sleep in. You know, I don't love sitting with a coach who makes me feel shit. But all of these things helped me shed that big sort of protective wall. The journey to authenticity, true authenticity, for me means embracing all of the parts and showing up however I am in that space that day. And I think what I've really realized is no one is going to save me. No one is going to love me, accept me the way that I can do that for myself. And so through the work of all of my different healing modalities, I've really realized, like, first and foremost, I have to love myself. And what that means is accepting all of me, all of the personas, all of the thoughts, all of the feelings, all of the good, all of the bad, if you want to label it, like all of it, and being okay. And knowing that there's always work that I need to do and that I'm always constantly growing and learning. And so I feel like that sort of gives me a little more permission to just be human, knowing that I don't have to be perfect because nobody on this planet is perfect. There's no such thing. Even if you look out in nature, look at a tree right now, all the branches, they're all weird and wobbly and nothing is perfect, right? And so when I show up as me, good days, bad days, every day in between, I found that it gives people permission to do the same thing. And I think that, not that anybody needs anybody else's permission, but for me, it's about, I want to lead by example. If I'm saying these things, I'm fucking doing these things. I am not just throwing shit at you to lecture you because I don't fucking believe in that. I have walked the fucking talk that I am now delivering to you. And I think that that is where my authenticity comes from, is I've lived in the shit. I've done fucked up shit. I've had fucked up shit done to me. And I can still show up as me. And these things don't define me. And I think a huge piece, or a huge realization that has come for me is, you know, when you show up on social media, people think that you just open yourself up to, oh, well, if you're going to post this, then you're open to criticism, which I don't agree with, but whatever. So I've really developed a thick skin. 5 years ago, I would want to fight these people and be like, fuck you, like, you don't like me, fuck you, you're a dick. Now I'm like, I hope you have the day of your choosing. You know, I really hope that you have a healing space. I hope you have somebody to talk to. Like, the work that I've done has shifted my approach, and I think that sort of softened me in a way, but not so much that I'm like gonna let you walk all over me, you know?
Yeah, there's a Buddhist teacher, Chogyam Trungpa, and he was a Tibetan Buddhist monk, and he left the monastery so that he could come to the West and try to bring Buddhism to the West. And very quickly, he also realized that he had to work with it in a different way here. And he's kind of earned this reputation for being like the bad boy of the Buddhist monks, which isn't that awesome? And he does talk about that sometimes in kind of traditional Buddhism, there tends to be this dismissal of the fiery side as something that has value to it. And it's something that I have watched you navigate over time, is that the fire would get so hot that it would actually burn. And yes, I do mean maybe like burn some people outside, but more like burn you, you know. And then you have found this way to swing the pendulum the other direction where it's like, okay, I've found also the yin now. Like I've found that softer side of me that can be more calm, more collected. And in that process, you've also allowed the pendulum to come back more towards center lately, I feel, where it's like, you know what? No, I'm still going to embrace this fiery yang side while carrying the yin with me as well. You know, kind of back to what we said in the beginning, this yin and yang, embracing both sides and moving through the circle as needed, versus the other thing that I heard that, especially as I've been doing a lot more study around the maturation process overall of, and I don't necessarily mean that as like the physical body, I mean that as like the maturation of like the psyche, the spirit, the soul. And as a child, we need identity. Like that's part of the role of the child in the world and into early adolescence, is we have to learn how to create an identity to belong to a friend group or a peer group. And so identity becomes something that is very important in that stage. But as we continue to develop into more true adulthood, all of a sudden identity starts to become much more fluid, right? Where it's like, oh, and I think for a lot of us, like I look back and I don't really think I've hit this place of true adulthood until in my 40s. You know, if we all lived in traditional societies that were really healthy societies, we would have done it when we were in our teens, but that's not where we live. And so I think for a lot of us, this transition from more of the child and adolescent psyche to more of like a true adult psyche is happening more at this time in our lives. And I do see that common pattern of like, oh, I don't have to grip so tightly to this way of like, I have to have this crisp, clean identity that I have to uphold anymore.
Yeah. I love the statement that you said about it's fluid. Like it's fluid. My being is fluid now. I vacillate. And I just love that word because again, like as soon as I think of fluid, I think of like water, like sloshing in a container or the ocean waves. And it's like this back and forth and it's not, so structured. I know this is weird, but can I share a poem?
Fuck yes,
Okay.
You can share a poem. Are you kidding me? I would love that.
So this has become one of my favorite poems. I share it very often when I teach yoga class. And I think you'll understand, Andrew, why it's one of my favorites, because it does show the juxtaposition and shows both sides. So this is by Carson Kelber. Let the trees teach you that growth requires patience. Let the wind teach you that you can change direction and speed as you desire. Let the flowers teach you that beautiful things do not bloom all year long. Let the ocean teach you that you can be both calm and chaos, gentle and strong. Let the clouds teach you that when things get too heavy, it is time to release. Let the stars teach you that darkness is needed to see the light. And let the sun teach you that no matter how long you've been hidden, you will always rise again.
Ooh. That hits. That felt good.
Always makes me a little teary.
I know. Isn't it amazing? Like, great poetry always brings forward emotion for me. Like, I really resonate with it. Thank you for sharing that. And it's kind of perfect because I know that we have to start to wrap up. And I feel like that's a great way for us to start to put a bow on this. Is there anything else that you feel like you'd want to leave with them?
You are stronger than you know. You are so much more capable than you give yourself credit for. and tune into your intuition. And one of the things that I've learned is, how do you know the difference between intuition and fear or anxiety? Intuition is soft and it's quiet. Fear is very loud. And in order to decipher it, sometimes we have to sit. We have to sit in the quiet, literally, like phones off, music off, sit, stare at a candle. Because the thing that I know above anything else is your intuition, your gut knowing, your soul knowing is never wrong, and it will never lead you wrong. It might be scary when you really sit and listen and you go, how the fuck am I going to do that thing? Or how the fuck am I going to get there? You don't have to know. You don't have to know any of that shit right now. What you do have to do is trust your intuition and be willing to follow it. Because when you follow your intuition, not that life gets easier, but it just feels deeper. It feels more fucking fulfilling when you follow that intuition that you were given, and you were given it for a reason.
That's a fuck yeah. Sarai, I'm just, like, as I look across, and of course we're on video, but I just look across at someone that I just hold with such incredible regard. I love your honesty. I love the willingness to show all of us every aspect without fear. Or maybe with some fear, but still the willingness to step forward. And I just really honor the person that you have continued to develop, and I'm so grateful to be a part of that journey.
Well, thanks. You made me cry. You're an asshole.
You're welcome.
No, I genuinely, you know, we've known each other for a couple years, and you've gotten to see me through a lot of different phases, and you know, I respect the fuck out of you. I think you are probably one of my favorite humans on the planet. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast. I mean, I genuinely fucking mean it. And so to get to be able to hold space with you is pretty fucking awesome, Andrew. So I'm grateful to be here with you. And I wish you the most fucking success on this goddamn podcast. And I cannot wait to fucking binge every episode. You are such an incredible host. You are such an incredible human. And thank you for sharing this with the world. Thank you for creating this podcast that goes fucking deep past surface level bullshit. So thank you, Andrew.
I received that fully. Thank you. Take it in. All right, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.